This interview is brought to you by Gallatin River Task Force's Hooked on the Gallatin fundraiser July 13th at the River House to help protect the Upper Gallatin River. Food, drinks, raffle, auction, and live music by North Fork Crossing. You gotta be there. All right, let's start talking. This is we're talking to saddle bronc rider turned country music, neo-traditional country music sensation Chancey Williams here. He's a Wyoming-born singer that hits like Rodeo Cold Beer, The Saint, Fastest Gun in Town, and the new what is it, Pearl Snap Preacher? That's a new song?
Yep, Pearl Snap Preacher has been out about 2 weeks, I think.
All right,
Exciting.
Congrats on that. Great song. And you can see Chancey July 19th at Big Sky PBR. He'll be performing at the big stage there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We played it, I think, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It's a fun one. Like, what a venue they have there in Big Sky. I mean, there was tons of people. It got so wild. People were spraying beer. I mean, we may have instigated some of that, but it was we always said anytime they want us, we'll be back to the PBR there. It was a fun time.
It's a good time, and it's the best one in the country, so you got to be there.
11-time PBR of the year. I mean, it's
Big Sky, Montana.
Notorious.
All right, so I need to know what neo-traditional country music means.
I get asked that a lot, and that came from higher people that put that on some of my stuff, and to be honest, I don't really know. What I think it means is like we're not, we're traditional-ish, and we're not new country. It's kind of somewhere in between, like, we sound a little 90s country, but we're a newer sounding, a fresh sounding 90s country type music. So it's funny. I should probably have a better answer for that because I get asked that a lot. Actually, I already got asked twice today about it. I'm like, and I just kind of pull through it. Be like, it's in between here and here.
Right.
We're here, neo traditional.
But you don't feel any pressure to conform to the neo-traditional country music standard when you're writing your songs.
Right. You're somewhere near like Bacifus and Beyonce, right? Just in between those two. Okay.
Yep, right in there.
Good to know.
I have a question. How do you manage to make the move from the saddle to the stage, Chancey? How's that transition go?
Well, so, I grew up as a ranch kid. And so, my folks and my family have a ranch in Moorcroft, Wyoming, which is the northeast corner of the state. So, I grew up ranching my whole life, and we started rodeoing when we were little, me and my brothers. So we rodeoed forever since, 5, 6 years old, youth rodeos all the way through high school, went to high school national finals, then went to college on a saddle bronc riding scholarship, went to Casper College and University of Wyoming, made the college national finals. So like I was a bronc rider. But in high school, right out of high school and through college, I started a band, me and some buddies, just kind of for fun. We'd play after rodeo dances or maybe somebody's wedding. We just kind of something to do when we weren't rodeoing. And then it kind of got where it was taking off, toward the end of college. We were getting booked for a lot of things. We were mostly a cover band. And then out of college, I was still rodeoing, but then playing music a lot. So I kind of had to make a choice of one or the other. It's really hard to balance both because it's the same lifestyle as both. You're town to town every other day, either singing or riding broncs. And it really was hard to juggle both. And I didn't feel like I was riding broncs as good as I should have been because I was kind of focusing on music and I wasn't really fully executing music because I was trying to rodeo. And my dad said, just whatever one you pick, just do it and do it good, do one of them. So I chose music so I could, I figured I could sing for a long time. You can sing till you're old, but riding bucking horses is a young man's game. And, there's an end date to rough stock, to riding bulls or broncs or barebacks. There's definitely a stop point in music. You see some of these artists like Willie Nelson or Merle Haggard, they sang into their 80s. So I just like, well, I'm going to chase music, I guess.
What have you noticed about the way that you're received by fans, being a rodeo rider versus a singer?
It's been great. I think part of our success when I started doing music, I knew everybody in the rodeo world. The rodeo world's kind of small. So a lot of rodeo committees, the chairman would end up being my buddy. He's like, hey man, you should come play our rodeo. So it really kicked off our music career good because we had a lot of dates. We got asked to play a lot of things just because of my relationships through rodeo. The fans that don't know rodeo, I think they like to hear somebody sing songs that have done it, sing actual cowboy songs that's actually done cowboy work. So, you know, that's also been, I think, one of the good things about our success is, is the authenticity of who I am and who my band is. We're as real as it gets. I
Yeah.
grew up in a town of 800 people in Moorcroft, Wyoming. So, you know, there's no fooling anybody who I am. I'm just a cowboy that rode broncs that now sings. So I think the authenticity, the fans can really relate to and see truly who I am.
So, do you still ride rodeo on the side? Do you watch the rodeos and think I could do that better? Are you still rodeo?
I don't
JC?
compete in rodeo anymore. It's one of those things like riding bucking horses takes a lot of like athleticism, and it's one of those things where if you're kind of out of shape of doing it, there's a good possibility of getting hurt real bad. Team roping and some of the roping events you can kind of dabble in and go rope, but with smaller chances of getting hurt. But getting on, a wild animal and you haven't done it for a while and you're kind of out of sync is a good probability you're going to get hurt. So once you're done, you're kind of done,
Okay.
which is hard, which is really hard. And I think a lot of rodeo cowboys struggle with that because you've dedicated your whole life to one thing. I did. All I focused on was riding bucking horses for a long time, and then just to stop that is hard. I think NFL players and some of those big time athletes deal with that. Like, you've trained to be a football player your whole life and then you just can't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
it's hard giving it up. I still dream about it. Like I wake up in the night thinking about getting on again. I just know I can't. Would I love to get on today? 100%. If God could guarantee me I could get on one today and not get hurt, I would get on one today. But in the back of your mind, I've got lots of friends that have been paralyzed from rodeo. So like, do you risk that just for one fun of 8 seconds, getting on one more that could maybe change the path of your whole life, which could happen in anything, but there's a high risk when you're getting on a bucking horse.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, we're glad you chose, as a mother, I'm glad you chose the safer route in life, a mic
Yeah,
over
I think my
madness.
mom is too. My mom, it's her birthday today, and she used to, sit in the stands and say a prayer every time me and my brother would get on because, anything can happen. The best in the world get hurt, and the people just start and get hurt. Like, you never know what happens out there. I've had friends just land wrong that didn't even look bad. You're like, and they just don't get up. You're like, well, what happened? They break their neck. So, it's and I think that's why people do it. The risk of and the adrenaline of that, you don't think you'll ever get hurt, but it's just the adrenaline of getting on a bucking horse is like nothing else. So it's super addicting. It's a little bit like a drug.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday to Mama Williams.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Mama.
You've appeared on stages with legendary names in country music: Toby Keith, Alan Jackson, Dierks Bentley. Are you learning to separate the real cowboys like yourself from the some of the denim dandies?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, usually I can spot those guys a mile away. There's very, very few real cowboys that sing country music. And, just because of kind of what I explained before, it's hard to live those two different lives. So, a lot of guys, in music have been doing that their whole life. I kind of switched midlife, or, when I was younger, I switched. But yeah, it is what it is. I see a lot of singers singing songs about cowboys, and lyrically, it's stuff that real cowboys wouldn't say. I get pitched a lot of songs from Nashville to cut that have been written by some big time Nashville songwriters, and I can't cut those because my friends and my peers are cowboys, and so like my dad's a cowboy, my brothers, my friends. So for me to sing songs about cowboys, they have to be super lyrically accurate. They have to be real about real stories. But I think that's what sets us apart from other guys. I think, the average listener out there maybe doesn't know the difference, and it probably doesn't matter. But to the 1% of cowboys out there, that matters to me, that I'm writing stuff that they're like, yeah, man, he nailed that.
Is there
It's authentic.
is there a
Yeah.
particular like inauthentic song that was pitched to you that you could tell us about?
Well, there's just been a bunch, I
Garth
mean,
Brooks Rodeo.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely one, and some of those songs are okay that are written for about a cowboy or about rodeo that say somebody else cuts, maybe Keith Urban cuts or Kenny Chesney. They don't have to back it up, So like, they're not really cowboys. They can sing about cowboys, but where I am a cowboy, I really have to be accurate. But I mean, it's just a lot of the lingo of how cowboys speak and how they talk about gear and their tack, and how a horse, rides, or how he lopes, or how you sit in the saddle. All those things are real to cowboys, that cowboys can spot, that the rest of the world doesn't see. But to me, it has to be right. It's same with TV shows. There's a lot of TV shows currently about cowboys, Yellowstone, Big Sky, all these things, which in my opinion are really good for the Western world. There's a new focus and a magnifying glass on cowboys now, and it's mainstream again, which is good for us. And so real cowboys can watch, some of those shows and be like, well, that's wrong and that's wrong. But it'd be the same as me making a movie about NASCAR and NASCAR drivers being like, well, he did that wrong. So
Yeah.
no matter what movie you make or show you make, the people that really do it are going to find holes in it. But in general, I think shows like Yellowstone, not only for the Western way of life, but for country music and real music, real cowboy music like myself, has really helped. It's
Yeah.
people are digging into it, and people that have never lived the life like we get to live every day from the East or West Coast can live through our music vicariously through a cowboy and say, man, I want to go visit Wyoming or Montana after hearing a Chancey Williams song. So that's the goal.
I love that you're singing for the cowboys and for the people. I mean,
That's right.
Is there a moment in a concert where you felt like it combined your rodeo experience and your music experience, where you wouldn't have been able to appreciate it if you hadn't ridden in the rodeo?
Well, I think all the time, we're fortunate we get to play a lot of rodeos. So like, we're playing Big Sky, we're playing PBR, and then we're playing Ogden, Utah, and we play Cheyenne Frontier Days and the National Finals Rodeo. So all those rodeos we get to play at feels like I'm still rodeoing again. So yeah, to answer your question, yes. The like Cheyenne Frontier Days is one that sticks out in my head the most. I rode there before I ever sang music there. So, my dad won Cheyenne 1971. So we growing up always wanted to ride at Cheyenne. Dad won it. We wanted to win it. I won 2 rounds there, didn't win the buckle, but, it was sure amazing to ride at Cheyenne. And then, 5 or 6 years later, we got asked to play the main stage with Merle Haggard. So that's when it all kind of came around. I was standing on the main stage in the arena at Cheyenne Frontier Days at a rodeo that I had rode at. So, and and it's the biggest outdoor rodeo in the world, and it means a lot to the people in Wyoming because it's the biggest stage you can play, and it's the biggest rodeo you can compete in. And I got to do both right there, and so both worlds kind of met, I guess, on a big scale at Cheyenne.
Nice.
You just head exploded in that cowboy hat.
That sounds like a beautiful moment. I love that.
It wasn't like that night I wore Dad's buckle from 1971 that he won at Cheyenne, and it was just everything kind of came together there. And we're getting to play it this year again for our 5th time. We're playing with Brooks and Dunn, and anytime we get to take the stage at Cheyenne is a special moment for me, for sure.
That's really great. Let's talk about some of your songwriting. So you got the new Pearl Snap Preacher. It's a pretty happy song. It's great. But then a song like Rodeo Cold Beer seems a little bit lonelier to
Yeah.
me. What kind of headspace do you find yourself in when you're writing songs, and does that kind of dictate the tone of it?
Yeah. So like, I'll just, in my phone, in notes, I'll just hear somebody say something once in a while. Like Rodeo Cold Beer has been it's like my baby. It's my favorite song I think I wrote just because it's the one everybody grasps to. And I think it's because it talks about my hometown of Moorcroft. And it just really took off. And that was just, I was having beers with one of my rodeo buddies. He's like, grab me one of them Rodeo Cold Beers. And a lot of people think it's rodeo and cold beer, but it's not. Like a rodeo cold beer is that beer that's been in a cooler for 3 or 4 days and all the ice is melted and it's just floating around in the water. That's rodeo cold beer. So it's not like rodeo and cold. It's not rodeo cold and beer.
Yes.
A rodeo cold beer is just a lukewarm beer. And so
gross.
yeah. So like if you've rodeoed, you've got your van or camper and you haven't got ice for a couple of days, you're like, I'm still going to drink one of those. And it's, I heard my buddy one day say, he's like, hey, grab me one of them rodeo cold beers. I was like, I'm going to write that song. That's great. And so
in your mind, what brand of beer is it that comes out of that cooler?
it's a Keystone Light.
Keystone Light.
Sure.
All right. All right.
Sounds about right.
A tepid Keystone Light. We'll
Or
now
Busch
have that in our
Light,
heads.
any cheap canned beer for sure.
Okay. I look forward to not having a tepid Keystone Light at some point.
I know.
But
Let's talk about
I
the
didn't earn
loneliness
it. I
of
didn't earn
that
it.
of that song, though. It convinced me that being a country music star is hard because it seems like you're trying in that song, but I don't know if you'll be successful.
Right. Well, like I said, the rodeo life and the music life's the same. I mean, you travel from town to town, yeah, and everybody sees your shows on stage and they see your performances and we're having fun and everybody's like, man, you must have the best job in the world, which I do think I have the best job in the world, but nobody sees the behind the scenes of miles and miles of road and nights and dodging deer and elk on the road and slick roads and rainstorms and everything in between as a traveling entertainer, whether it's a cowboy, rodeo cowboy, or a singer. There's some lonely nights out there, man. You're sometimes around the road for 2-3 weeks before you're home. And, but you can look at the alternative, there's a lot of houses that need roof. There's not a lot of concrete that needs poured. So anytime I get down, I'm like, well, I got a pretty good job. So, I could be doing something else.
Absolutely. No, the road sounds like a good life. And yeah, I've driven those kind of roads in Montana. I mean, we all have. We know those long, crazy nights. And you're like, I may die, but I'm going to keep going.
Oh, they're not nearly as pretty at night.
I know.
That's for sure.
So your parents named you Chancey.
Yep.
Do you think that affected your life choices?
I don't know. I guess that's funny. I've never been asked that. But, my dad rodeoed he had a buddy named Chancey Wilson, and he lives in Jackson, Wyoming, and they rode broncs together. And, I think my mom said when they were picking names, mom's like, well, what about Chancey? And dad was friends with Chancey. He's like, I love it. So, my older brother's Charlie and I'm Chancey and my little brother's Chase. So they had to pick a CH in there. So I ended up with Chancey, but I've loved it. It's a unique name that I think people remember. And I've gotten lots of messages over the years that people name their dog Chancey or something, or now it's becoming maybe a girl's name too, or a rapper's name. And so
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a great name. Nobody has a surgeon named Chancey.
Yeah, you don't want your accountant or lawyer named Chancey. It seems like you were directed as far as your vocation with that name.
I think so. I think it's a good middle child name because the middle childs can kind of do whatever. So they'll just be like, well, it can be Chancey.
I love it. Yeah. My sister's name starts with an M and mine starts with an M. My parents got us confused all the time. So I can only imagine your household.
Yeah. Chancey, Charlie, and Chase. Mom's like, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I know.
Well, unlike you, Chance the Rapper was actually born Chancellor Jonathan Bennett. So that's actually a nickname for him. But we're done with questions, and the dumb Marmot game, which is what I have dubbed the game that we always play at the end of these interviews. This one's called Chancey Rhymes with Chance. Okay, it's time to show off those songwriting skills that you have you have to come up with a
Oh, I can't
line
look.
to follow lyrics from Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
You and Michelle can work together on this. That's fine. Bonus points if you and Chance actually have the same rhyme.
Okay. This is gonna be, I'm a ranch kid from Moorcroft. I would say my rapping skills are very
This
low.
is not about rapping. It's just
Rhyming.
coming up with song lyrics.
Okay.
Right? You're a gifted songwriter. I love what you do. It's always so like simple, but it seems like you find the right word, the right syllables. I'm impressed with
Oh, I
you.
appreciate it.
That's why I felt okay challenging you to this game. All
Okay.
right. First lyric. The line is cigarettes on cigarettes. My mama think I stank.
And you have to come up with another line.
And you have to come up with a rhyming line to that. If you come up with the same line that Chance came up with.
What was his again?
Cigarettes on cigarettes. My mama think I stank.
My mama think I stank.
You're getting out pen and paper here. I respect
And
that.
I'm spitting
gonna
out
say your
lyrics, and I'm going to take it to the bank.
Okay.
What I'm
Okay.
saying is my mama think I stink.
Think I stank.
Stank. Beer on beer, beer on whiskey. Maybe the more I drank.
Ah,
Ooh.
all right. I like that. It's not the actual one from Chance the Rapper. It's going to surprise you. But his is, I got burn holes in my hoodies. All my homies think it's dank.
Oh, dank.
Dank
Dank.
was the
I
word
should've
that
knew
Chance
dank was
used.
coming after
Chancey, we
Come
did
on.
it.
That was from Cocoa Butter Kisses featuring Vic Mensa and Twista, obviously. I don't have to tell you guys that.
Yeah, I knew that.
All right. Second one. Bruh, I'm at your head like Craig did Debo. That's a Friday reference from the song No Problem featuring 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne. I'll read it again. Bruh, I'm at your head like Craig did Debo.
You're fogging.
I'm at your head. Like what?
Like Craig did Debo.
Craig did Debo.
Deebo.
I'm well read.
Bro,
I
I'm
don't
at-
even use
Bro, I'm
Tito.
at your head like Craig did Debo.
Yep.
Bro, I'm at your head.
I
like
had a
Craig-
friend in college. She got SIBO.
What is SIBO?
Some weird stomach thing.
Is that really? I didn't know that. I'm learning something here. This is great.
Yeah, she like had to eliminate everything from her diet. Actually, it was after college, but yeah.
Your first attempt was using the word TiVo.
Bro, I'm at your head like Sig at Debo.
Like Craig. Craig did Debo.
Okay. Neat. Yo. Okay.
And
Hang
by
on.
my dad, like Finding Nemo.
I was thinking Nemo too. Bro, I'm at your head like
Don't
Craig
take
did
Chancey's
Debo.
rhyme. All right.
I could keep going with stuff.
I know. I can't wait to listen to all of
Maybe
these.
later
we'll record
tonight.
these.
We'll get in the truck and we'll meet Joe in Webo. You guys know where
Oh.
Webo, Montana is?
I have heard of it. I've never been there. Where
We
is
played
it?
there last year. I was just thinking, what around is Debo? Webo.
Webo.
There used to be a big party up there, partying Webo.
Nice.
All right, that's great. I think that's actually better than what Chance the Rapper did here because he goes, "Bruh, I'm at your head like Craig did Debo. Don't tweak, bro. It's never sweet, ho."
Oh.
See, sweet and hoe are two different words. You can't write Debo with sweet hoe.
He did.
It's got to
He
be
did,
compound.
He must have written this in a hurry.
Yeah.
You were.
Sweet
Yeah.
hoe? Like, is like the hoe like a garden hoe? Probably.
I doubt it. I doubt that's what he's referring
Yeah.
to. All
This
right,
is not rodeo. This is rap.
let's keep
Right.
moving
Yeah,
on.
lots of
This one
hoes.
may be a little tougher for you. We'll see. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoena. It's from a
Rapper,
song,
song.
Juice. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoena. So you got to rhyme with subpoena here, Michelle
Okay. Is
and Chancey.
Rapper, song, singer,
is
suspended.
Wipeout still hosted by John
Subpoena.
Cena?
Yeah, good luck spelling subpoena, by the way. That's a very hard word.
I didn't want to tell you how I wrote it. It's
I had okay,
Rapper,
Wipeout.
song, singer, suspended by subpoena.
No, just suspended, comma, subpoena. It seems like he at a certain point he's just saying these words, listing them
Rapper,
off.
song, singer, suspended,
Is Wipeout
subpoena.
still
That's right.
Hosted by John Cena.
Say that again.
Is Wipeout still hosted by John Cena?
Oh, okay.
He
I
was
like that.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Get
You
it.
gotta know.
Something with arena.
Arena.
Something with arena,
Oh.
Chancey.
Yeah. Yeah, that gives Chancey something to work with there.
Cowboy ride, bucked off in arena.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that works. It's
Hey, I like
better.
arena.
It's better than the real one, which is rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoena, 4 misdemeanors, dreamer.
Dreamer.
Dreamer. Sorry.
Got to be dreamer.
Dreamer.
Dreamer?
My pronunciation is horrible. All
No.
right. I am not meant for this life of a rap star.
I meant to read rap lyrics.
All right. Last one. 2-step, white dude's Harlem Shake.
2-step.
2-step, comma, white dude's Harlem Shake.
Muffins,
Okay.
brownies. I love to
Harlem
bake.
Shake. 2-step, white dude, Harlem Shake.
Yeah. This from Favorite Song featuring Childish Gambino.
2-step, white dude, Harlem Shake.
I think he's saying 2-step is the white dude's Harlem Shake.
2-step, white dude, Harlem Shake.
Yeah. I'm not a lyric expert, but that's my take on it.
Monkey, raccoon, easy bake.
You just used bake twice to
Oh,
run with Harlem Shake. And it's only because of, I
Sandstorm.
think, shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Square dance, rapper, big sky, fake, shake.
I like it.
For
I like
Big
it.
Sky, how about for Big Sky's sake?
For big sky's sake. I like that.
That say it all together. 2-step,
Square
white
dance.
dude's Harlem Shake
Square dance, rapper, big sky,
for Big Sky's sake.
for big sky's sake.
Wow, you're putting
That's
lyrics in his
great.
mouth.
I
We
think
were
we brought it
rapping.
all together. And that is clearly better than Chance's lyric, 2-step, white dude's Harlem Shake. Why you laughing? Because you Harlem Shake. He just rhymed
You're-
Harlem Shake with Harlem
You
Shake.
can't rhyme with the same word. That's a rule.
I agree. He's just breaking rules here.
That's not country music. You can't rhyme with the word with the same word.
Yeah, we should write a letter.
Yeah.
Or
That
an
was
email.
Chance rhymes with Chancey, or Chancey rhymes with Chance. Thank you for playing
Good
that
job.
dumb Marmot game. That was fun. You did great,
job.
Michelle. You were a fine second place.
That sounds terrible.
She killed it. She helped me out.
Yeah, it's fine. We're hazing each other all day long in this house.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you July 19th at Big Sky PBR. Chancey, thanks so much for joining us. And please check out Pearl Snap Preacher, Chancey's new song.
Yeah, well, appreciate you guys having me on. We can't hope to see you guys up there that day. Let's have a Rodeo Cold Keystone Light.
Absolutely. Wear your pearl snaps. I feel like people should wear their pearl snaps to the concert. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you guys.